Pepper steak is one of the quickest to make dishes out there, and it is absolutely loaded with flavor. There's nothing I like more than trying to recreate my favorite Chinese takeout at home to serve up to family and friends. Pepper steak is thin slices of marinated steak that's stir-fried with peppers and onions in an umami bomb flavor of a sauce that cooks together in minutes. Let's start off by knocking out some prep. Sound good? Let's cook. I've got 1 pound of flank steak. This comes from the abdominal area of the cow, also known as the flank. Other great cuts of meat are sirloin, top round, bottom round, tenderloin, or even a ribeye. Now, what I'm looking for when I purchase this from the grocery store is that it is a deep red color with no holes or dark spots anywhere, and maybe a small amount of intermuscular fat. It's also best if it's equal thickness throughout. And now let's slice it up, and Dr. Chef Parisi is in the house. Let's transfer our flank steak to the cutting board, slice it in half lengthwise, then take one of those pieces, turn it 90 degrees. We are going to thinly slice it on a vertical bias using a sharp chef knife. Also, a slicing knife will work well. I do mean thinly slice it. This does take some practice to get it as thin as possible. If there are a few slices in there that aren't perfect, no problem. Once you are done thinly slicing it, we're going to transfer it over to a medium-sized bowl. In it, we are going to add in 1 large egg, then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, or if you have another favorite oil, fine. Then 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing wine. If you don't have access to this, any good rice cooking wine will work, or even dry sherry. Now I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch, then last but not least, a half teaspoon of baking soda. This is going to greatly help tenderize up our flank steak. Now, using your hands or a spoon, thoroughly mix this until all of the ingredients are completely combined. It should almost have a creamy film wrapped around each piece of steak. Then we're going to simply set it to the side and let it rest while we prep up everything else. Speaking of prep, give your cutting board a good wash with hot water and soap because, well, we cut raw steak on it. Let's begin with 1 large red bell pepper. We are going to slice around the outside, removing the pith and the seeds. I also like to use the bottom part. Then with each piece, we are going to thinly julienne it. Now, you could also use a yellow or orange bell pepper. I would advise not using a green bell pepper because the flavor just simply isn't there. Now I have 1 yellow onion. I'm going to slice off the ends, slice it in half, and then remove that outside peel. We only need a quarter total of that yellow onion, so we're going to thinly julienne it. You could also use a red, sweet, or white onion for this recipe. Set it to the side right in a bowl with our julienne red bell pepper. And next up, I have 3 individual green onion stalks. We're going to cut them down into 1.5 to 2 inch pieces. Line up 5 to 6 at a time and then thinly julienne it. It does not need to be perfect. It is really a rough julienne. We are going to set this to the side. Then in a small bowl, I'm going to finely grate in 3 large garlic cloves, followed up with some ginger. Now I have about a 1 inch block of peeled fresh ginger here. I'm looking for a total of 2 teaspoons, and I'm going to do it on this fine grater that I did with the garlic. The main brand for these are known as a microplane. For my sauce, I have 3/4 cup of good beef stock. I'm next adding in 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, followed up with 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce. There really isn't a good substitute here, I'm sorry. Next up, we are adding in 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing wine, followed up with 1 tablespoon of sugar. Then, for a little bit of brightness, I'm going to squeeze in some lemon juice. It equals about 1 tablespoon. If you go a little under or a little over, no problem. Next up, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Then just using a spoon, mix all of the ingredients together until the cornstarch is dissolved. So the best chef tip I can give you right now is to double check and make sure everything's ready to roll. This is known as mise en place, or everything in its place. The veg is prepped. The steak is marinating. The sauce is good. This cooks so fast, you can't stop in the middle of it to slice or prep anything. So make sure you are good to go. Now this is going to move quickly, so watch carefully. Take the marinated flank steak and oil over to a cooktop. Next, I have a 12-inch very well seasoned wok. You could also use a non-stick skillet or a cast iron skillet if you don't have it. Add 3 tablespoons of avocado oil to your wok. Crank the heat on to high. Once it begins to lightly smoke like this, We are next going to add in our beef. I'm going to be using a long ladle. You could also use a wooden spoon or a long metal spatula. Once your beef is in the wok, what I like to do is spread it around, moving it up the sides of that hot wok to cover as much surface area as possible. Remember, we want to sear the beef. We don't want to steam the beef. We are going to cook it for exactly 1 minute. After that time, we are going to stir fry it. To do this, grab the handle with one hand and then in the other hand, put your ladle or spatula in the middle. Rock the pan back and forth while keeping that spatula or ladle right in the center of the pan. This will help release everything. We are going to do this for 1 to 2 minutes, and it's okay if the flank steak is not completely cooked through. Don't worry, we're going to continue to heat it up later. For now, we're going to set it to the side on a plate. Let's return that wok right to the burner, again over high heat. If you need some more oil, add in only 1 to 2 tablespoons more. Then I'm going to add in my peppers and onions. Now, once everything is in there, we're also going to stir fry this, but only 30 to 45 seconds. You should start to see a little bit of brown on the peppers and onions. This looks perfect. At this stage, I'm next adding in the combination of the finely minced garlic and ginger. We're only going to stir fry this for about 30 seconds or until the garlic becomes very fragrant. And after that amount of time, it definitely will. At this stage, let's turn the heat down to low, add in our cooked beef, followed up with our sauce. Now we're going to add a little bit at a time because we don't want to over sauce it or under sauce it. So I'm going to add in about a half cup to 2/3 cup and see where we're at. Give it a mix. It should almost immediately thicken up and completely coat the steak, onions, and peppers. Now, if you're a saucy family, feel free to add more. Now we're going to take 2/3 of our julienne green onions and mix them right into our beef until it is combined. This looks absolutely fantastic. The smells are awesome. And of course, let's give it a little shot, see where we're at. Now, one of the things that I love about cooking, outside of eating it, of course, is tasting along the way and adjusting the flavors accordingly. This will teach you to enjoy the cooking process so that it's not some tedious chore. Also, tasting things along the way ensure that it's delicious when it comes time to serve it. Now, this peppered steak would be incredible with some jasmine rice, but I'm thinking I'm going to serve it up with some stir-fried noodles. Here's how easy they are to make. I'm going to quickly peel up a medium-sized carrot, then we're going to slice it in half lengthwise, then simply slice it on a bias, set it to the side in a bowl. Next, I have 2 ribs of celery, going to slice them in the exact same manner, thinly sliced on a bias, add them to the bowl with the carrots. I have a head of green cabbage, slice it in half, remove that core, then slice that half in half so only a quarter remains. We're next going to thinly slice this as best as you can. Set it in the bowl with the carrots and celery. Now for the leftover peelings and end pieces, put them in the freezer. Save them for your beef, chicken, or vegetable stock in the future. And now for the sauce. I have 2 tablespoons of chicken stock. You could also use beef stock, vegetable stock, or water. I'm next going to add in 1 teaspoon of rice vinegar. Regular white distilled vinegar will work. 1 teaspoon of sugar. Next, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. We're going to whisk this together until it is completely combined, and then just set it to the side. Now for the noodles, any good Chinese egg noodle will work. Lo mein, chow mein, or even rice noodles are great to use in this recipe. I'm going to add it to a large pot of boiling water. Now it only takes about 3 to 4 minutes for these to cook until they reach al dente. Give them a quick stir and occasionally go back and stir them just to make sure they're not sticking. In the meantime, I'm adding that same 12-inch seasoned up wok with 3 tablespoons of avocado oil over high heat. Once it begins to lightly smoke, which only takes 30 to 45 seconds, let's add in the carrots, celery, and cabbage. And we're just going to stir fry this for 1 to 2 minutes or until the vegetables start to get a little bit of brown on them. Next, I'm going to add in 3 finely minced cloves of garlic. We are going to stir fry this just for 30 to 45 seconds or until the garlic becomes fragrant. Now let's go back and check out our noodles. They are finished perfect. I try to do this so that everything can cook at the same time and finish up at the same time. Strain as much water off it as possible. Add it right to the pot. Then immediately add in the chicken stock, soy, sugar, and rice wine vinegar mixture. Stir fry the noodles together using that long metal ladle or even a metal spatula or wooden spoon. Once all the ingredients are combined, we're going to turn the heat off and then add in the third remaining julienne green onions, followed up with 1 cup of bean sprouts. Those are optional. You don't have to, but I really love the flavor. Let's adjust the seasonings with coarse salt and fresh cracked black pepper. Remember, season once, taste twice. Taste it, season it, taste it again. See what else you need. Mix all these ingredients together.
And honestly, these noodles can be a meal in itself. They're just so filling. You could also stir fry up some pork, chicken, or beef and put it right in there. I know the whole family will love it. Using classical cooking techniques just makes the best food and always creates amazing memories. All right, let me show you how I plate this up.
In a wide, shallow bowl, we are going to add in a heaping scoop of that pepper steak. Looks amazing, so saucy. My family is going to love this. I'm going to garnish with any additional julienne green onions you have left, just for a pop of green. You could also sprinkle on a hint of ground black pepper, just to bring more of that to life. Then for the stir-fry noodles, same style bowl, scoop the noodles from the wok into the bowl and then turn it to sort of give it some elevation. And then at the end, what I like to do is spoon on those vegetables to make sure they're really prevalent.
And there's something that's just elegant about really simple food. I mean, we didn't do anything crazy here, but the overall flavor is fantastic. I really do believe you, your friends, and your family are gonna love it, and it's something you could all do together. Now, if you think this is jam-packed with flavor, you have to check out the marinade in my Korean short ribs. It will blow your mind. You have to make it. I've got a great recipe video. I'll catch you over there.